bring this game back, again, we're all big fans of the original. A lot of us were at Micro Pros when it came out. But as we were looking at this, we really wanted to make XCOM for a new generation, as well as for the guys who played it originally. So we paid a lot of attention to the original pillars of the game: destructible environments, permadeath, customization of your characters, a lot of those things, and we really stuck to those, didn't change them all that much. Again, we really wanted to re-envision this game and make something that was accessible to everyone and still fulfilling for people who had played it originally. So from an art direction point of view, it was a pretty fun task. Again, we're both, the original game as well as ours are really focused on the UFO lore, and so there's a lot of connectivity in what the choices that they made as well as the choices what we made. We're going for the little gray sectoid that everybody knows what that looks like. It's the first alien that you encounter in the game. We're really playing to that iconography that most gamers, should know and people understand. As far as really making this contemporary, there were a lot of challenges with that. I mean, our view is pulled out just like the original game. We want things to be readable and understandable to the player, so they can see where cover is, they can see where their next move is going to be, but we still want to make it pretty and not sparse. So a lot of the things that we did, we sort of chunkified all of our stuff a little bit. Like, we've got a bit of a G.I. Joe action figure feel to our art. Part of that is so it's readable from the game view, and yet it still reads when you drop the camera down as well. So the artistic choices we made there really work well for how the game looks as well. The other thing about our game is that you won't notice any sort of shimmer at all. Like, everything feels really connected, and it's pretty readable in general. But that's a pretty tough thing to do, is make sure that the characters are readable from the game view, as well as readable from and look good from the cinematic cameras. The Crystallid, for the first time anybody's actually seen it, it is one of the most terrifying characters in games. It moves super fast. If you see one on the battlefield, you're pretty much done if your boots are on the ground. And there are only ways to counter it, really, is if you're off the ground, which you also saw. You guys saw the jetpack. That gives you an advantage where you can get up off the ground and not be vulnerable. You also saw, the floater, the heavy floater, who's a really heavy defensive character who also flies. So again, each character has its own balances and different attributes that makes them unique. Covers is key, and flanking. You need to do those things in order to be successful in the game. It's all about the choices that the player makes, like where you choose to take cover and what's going to give you the best shot. And so, if you're picking poor locations, then you're going to be in trouble. But you also have to have the right mix of abilities and characters and hardware. So, as you're building your characters and growing your soldiers and evolving your base, you still have to be evolving with the tech and adapting alien tech to work for you. The cool thing about XCOM is that you actually have characters coming in all the time. So permadeath is really, really important. It was one of those things we really wanted to stick to from the original game. And I love it. I mean, I'm the kind of player where I'll send my guys out and just be like, all right, my rookies, you are all my scouts. You go out and hope you don't find something nasty. But let me know where all the aliens are, and I keep my other soldiers back. But you start to become really precious about your soldiers who have advanced. And again, I think the way I play is that way. I'll keep my soldiers back that I've spent a lot of time in, and send out my rookies as cannon fodder. But I think with XCOM, it's a really unique game that no one else can really have permadeath. I mean, again, we've got an influx of soldiers coming in constantly, and so as you're getting new recruits and as you're growing these soldiers, it's really painful when you lose one, but you always have another one sort of coming up through the system. So there's sort of that that mystery of, is the next guy going to have the attributes that I really want, and is that character going to progress the way I want? So there's a bit of a random nature to it, but it's also it sort of makes it really, the sense of discovery through your characters is really fun. Well, there's a bunch of different mission types in XCOM. You guys also saw the first look at a terror mission. So while you've got your standard abduction missions, you also have some different mission types, some that we're still going to talk about. But the terror mission is one where you're trying to save other civilians. So yeah, as you're doing the different missions, you will end up getting different loot from those missions. And then those things come back to your base, and then you can process them however you like. There's choices once you get back to your base as to how you do that.
This is where all of XCOM's research and development takes place.
XCOM is all about choices. When you go back to the base, you make different choices as well as on the tactical battlefield. But the unique thing about XCOM is none of them is a right or wrong answer. The thing that really makes you XCOM unique is that when you make a choice, that choice, the other choice that you didn't choose, may not be there the next time you come back. And so if you choose to help a country, like, you know, say you go to China and you have two missions, one in China and one in the United States, and you don't do the one in the United States, you know, the panic meter is going to go up. So it's all about balancing those sort of choices that you make and trying to keep everyone happy and trying to make the best choice possible for you and the game that you're trying to play. So again, it's unique in its nature in that it's always adapting, always changing, and never the same when you go back. One of the core things about the game when we started was we wanted to make the game replayable as much as possible. That was one of the things from the original game that we wanted to retain. And so that's something that you'll find in XCOM Any Man Known. We actually made it so that you can, it's pretty open-ended. There's a random nature to the mission selection and how that comes up, and you can play through the game twice without seeing the same map easily. There's a lot of depth to the game. So it's a ton of depth, more than a lot of people are used to. And I think that the replayability is tremendous in this game. XCOM Enemy Unknown will be out this fall, 2012, on PC, 360, and PS3.